This is Lair Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel. Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of the panel. Welcome, Neil.
Take one.
Take one. Welcome, Morgan. Welcome, Mary.
Hello, good evening.
And anybody...
You should have been doing the voiceover for the Late Late Show.
Anybody else that's coming now, they're more than welcome. Yeah, they're more than welcome. On this historic day, on Thursday, the 8th of May, 2025, the 267th Pope was elected today. The first American to be a Pope. Pope Leo XIV, he's taken. And there he is, there, a picture of him. He's a young man, younger than the normal run in the middle, as they say. But we wish him well. He's presiding over 1.3 billion Catholics, Roman Catholics in the world. So, I mean, there's always excitement. And he is an important figure to the world, I suppose, when you look at it another way, to give some spiritual guidance, which is very much needed, I suppose, in all our lives at some time or another. You know, there's no point in waiting till you die to get spiritual guidance. You might get it when you're alive.
How old is he?
He's 68, I think.
69. He was born 69. In 1955, September, I think it's the 14th, 1965. Yeah. His parents are French and Spanish. So he speaks fluent French, fluent Spanish, and fluent English. But he deliberately left. Didn't speak English today, and it was very much planned, because he wanted to show that he was going to be somebody beyond the English-speaking world. He worked for years in Peru, I think it was.
But Peru. Yeah.
Not very long a cardinal.
He was only raised to cardinal last year, which is surprising. But he had a very important function in the Vatican right up to Francis' death. He was over the promulgation of the rules and regulations for the church. He was the second or third most important person in the Vatican at the time of Francis' death.
He's an academic, so I mean, people were very interested to see what he was actually, what his name would be, because it would tell whether he was going to be progressive, very progressive, or whether he was going to be moderate and centrist, or whether he was going to be ultra conservative, and also what he was going to wear. Apparently, I was listening to it. There's a tiny little shop attached near the Vatican, and they make all the vestments and the mitres and everything and the crucifixes and everything for the popes. And they say that they have small, medium, large, and John the 23rd. They make the vestments in those
excellent,
because they never know until he walks out who the Pope is going to be, and one of them has to fit him. But they wanted to know whether he was going to go with what Francis wore, which was very ordinary Catholic.
Yeah.
And he actually chose what Benedict wore. So it just shows that he's quite central, and he should be somebody that will appease all sides.
You know, whether you're a Christian or Catholic or what, I think there's also a way of covering it with, to be aware of the dignity of the thing. And unfortunately, our national broadcaster fell flat in their face. I tuned into RT1 News when they were covering it, and the reporter, I forget her name, the one that's on the 6-1 News with David McCullough.
Shirley Dolan? No, I don't know.
I forget. She introduced and she said, of course, they're going to elect the 267th Pope, and it's going to be a man. I mean, there was no need to say something like that on today of all days. I mean, that to me is disrespectful.
Every church and every institution have to have their rules.
Yeah.
And the reason it's always been, and it will always be, a man is that there was never an apostle that was a woman.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
apostles and John, and they were all single men except for one. And that's the reason why. And it's never, no matter how much women go kicking and screaming looking for, and there were women out the other day firing pink things. I don't know what pink is supposed to represent in womanhood, but they were trying to get women priests. Now, five.
Do you remember? Do you remember 1979? In the Phoenix Park, Pope John Paul II.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great. I was there that day, and I
Yeah.
remember saying to the wife. The other day, you know, Pope John Paul II in the Phoenix. She said, "Jeez, I was there." So you so was I. I said, "I seen you there." Jeez, why didn't you come over and say hello? Just why didn't you? I give that up, Dopey, will you? Will you stop?
I don't know how many children were called John Paul, John Paul, John
Yeah,
Yeah,
Paul.
no, John Paul.
you
Yeah,
know everyone's age by their name.
yeah,
If
John
John,
Paul.
John Paul,
yeah.
they were born just after Pope John Paul came to Ireland. Nearly every second child was John
Pope
Paul.
John Paul. Morgan, what do you think of the Pope anyway? You're American, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all very interested because, I mean, when I was watching the news broadcast, these are the American ones from, the American networks. They were saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, the reason why they've never selected Americans is because we're not nuanced enough. We're very black and white, yes and no, and maybe this signals something. They want somebody just very direct."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Make,
yeah,
make, make the Vatican great again. Yeah.
Well, they have got a very direct. Well, one, he seems to be very intelligent.
I know
Two,
nothing about him. I'll have to check him out.
he has I mean he won so many scholarships for his PhD and for his postdoctoral, and he kind of rose through the ranks very, very quickly. And I mean 69 is very young for a pope. And
Why? But what? Why are popes like he's 69? Why don't they do a
because
30 or 40-year-old pope?
they don't want them to rule that long, because if they rule and something goes wrong, they can't be got out unless they die.
Oh,
The Pope is there until they die, and it's an incredibly lonely life. Actually, they were saying the other day that one Pope in the 70s, one cardinal, it was looking like they were going to elect him. And he said,
yeah.
and he shouted out, "Don't elect me, I won't take it."
And is he
And
allowed to not take it?
oh yeah, you're asked, if you're elected, you're asked, do you agree to taking this? And then they say they do, and immediately the envelopes are put in and into this cauldron, and then all this white smoke comes out. But they
Well, is
have
he
to
allowed reject? Is he allowed reject? Say no, I don't want to do this.
loud reject. And the thing about it is, he's it's Michael
That's
Casey.
me.
It's Michael Casey, but they're allowed to reject. And even when Benedict was elected, he said he thought, when he was asked how he felt, he said he thought that they were sending him to the guillotine.
All right, yeah.
He really didn't want the responsibility. All he wanted was the academia, and that's probably why he is the only
He
pope at
retired.
the time to
He,
resign.
he retired.
Yeah.
All the rest of them died. And then that's how they came about the election.
You're in it for life, and your whole world is changed in one instant.
There's a salary. There's a salary as well, of which €350,000, I think. But that's for their own expenses. But
They don't get paid. They don't get a weekly salary. They just get the
no,
expenses. Isn't that right?
there is a salary. It's not a salary as such. It's an amount
Yeah,
that they
expenses.
can use. But most of them don't ever take it up. They'll never
They
take
buy
it up.
their own vestments and everything. They buy their own, and they have to have about four a year, because especially the white ones, they said, go off. They go yellow very quickly, so they have
Yeah.
to have
In the sun,
about,
in the sunshine.
and the sunshine. Yeah, you'd imagine that
Yeah.
would keep them white.
Anyway, we wish
How's
him
things in America, Morgan?
we wish him the best of luck.
What did Neil say to Morgan?
No, just saying, how's things in America now? Everything, what's it like over there now? How are we all doing with Mr. Trump?
Well, yeah,
Is he
Well,
coming on?
apparently, there's a new trade deal with the UK.
British.
well,
With
they have signed a trade deal with the United Kingdom, and the
Is
media.
there a deal? Is he isn't trying to do something with China? You have to up in the ante with China or something, isn't that
yeah,
right?
he's after putting
Yeah.
tariffs of 140%
Well,
Well,
on
I don't
China
care. I
in the
don't care.
return.
I have to get a notice that I'm getting 11 bags of turf. I was looking for nice black turf, So we all have our
tough luck,
own.
that.
I'm
It's
getting
tough.
11,
Luck.
11 bags of turf for 50 quid. Fair play now.
Well done. Um,
That's planning for the future.
yeah. I think you'll need it because I think at the moment the world is at war with Ukraine, Russia, with
Yeah,
Gaza, Syria,
yeah.
Israel, and now we have India and Pakistan.
They,
What's next?
they can keep their oil. The
I
turf will be
actually
fine for me.
contacted a friend of ours in Pakistan. Arshad Awan is his name. His son is a psychiatrist here in Limerick, Fahad
Yeah,
Awan. And
Yeah,
Arshad was on my show before. He's from Islamabad. So I
yeah,
contacted him to see was he okay. Um, when I heard what had happened between India and Pakistan, and he
yeah.
said, yeah, that he was fine. He's in Islamabad, so it's okay
Do you
there.
know? Do you know that? Do you know that the population of India now is bigger than China?
Mm.
1.43 billion.
They have a good breeding program in
No,
India.
yeah, but
Yeah,
they've a good army. They like they have a good army. Like against if all a war was to break out with Pakistan, except for nukes, like Pakistan would eventually lose. They can't afford a war, and they haven't got what India has.
there's a very interesting connection historically speaking. Oh yeah, might be interested, Barbara, in this between Ireland and the very early movement in India for to gain its independence.
Mm.
And the first few groups that were trying to defeat the British, one of the books that they referenced was Guerrilla Days in Ireland by Tom Barry. They had it over in northern India. I forget the place they were in. A very good documentary on it, and they used the tactics of the Irish how to defeat the British
Well,
in the very early movement.
that's a friend of my mother's was Patricia Lipper, and her brother was Mick Lipper, the mayor. Now she was married to an Indian, and his name was Madhu Sudan M. Amerze, and he owned a load of cotton mills in Bombay. Now he was a friend of Pandit Nero,
Oh
and
yeah,
he always said to I can remember my mum saying to me that Madhu, when he came home to Limerick, when he came to Limerick, he was telling them that they had the same policy as the Irish.
yeah.
He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
Yeah, the guerrilla warfare because they were a smaller army, and so they were never going to. The same much in the American War of Independence. A lot of
Mm.
the eventually they had to use those same tactics because they didn't have the army as big as the British, So they decided to use guerrilla tactics.
But Arshad won. His father was one of the first, which is very interesting because I interviewed him about it. He was one of the first pilots of the Indian Air Force, even though he was Pakistani. A few of them. There was only four pilots, and they were trained in what's that pilot training school in England?
Top
Huh?
the RAF.
The
No,
RAF.
well, Cranston or Cranston and they were trained there for the Indian Air Force and during World War II, and he was a flight lieutenant, flight colonel. But it was interesting that a Pakistani and that a few Pakistanis were fighting or not fighting, but flying for India in their very
Yeah,
Yeah.
first.
you had a lot of that because of the British Empire. You had the famous Gurkhas as well from Burma, which is Myanmar, called Myanmar today, but from Burma. They
There's a
were they
there's a
had their
film
own.
there. There's a film. It's either on Netflix or Sky. I think it's on Sky. It's called Fighter. It's like a war about to break out between Pakistan and India. but it's in jets, fighter jets, and it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. If you're interested in fighter jets like Morgan, like the Americans with their F-22s, F-35s, F-16s,
Oh yeah.
F-18, it's
I,
it's
I,
good if you want to watch it. If you go to like Morgan, you know what I mean?
I love the stealth bomber. The stealth bomber is
Yeah, I'll
just
find it.
incredible. It's just incredible. The stealth. You
What
know,
what's it called? Oh, the stealth bomber. Ah, yeah.
yeah, that's
My
just
my grandfather was in the RAF.
Was
Um,
he?
yeah, my grandfather was in the RAF. His father was in the Royal Munster Fusiliers, and he died on the Leinster ship when it was torpedoed off the coast of Dublin during
The big Leinster.
World War One. He was
Leinster,
supposed to be.
MV Leinster. Yeah.
But he was supposed to be on the Munster, and he had a prisoner, and he took the prisoner off and brought him for a drink, and as you would, and on the way back they missed the Munster, and they got on the Leinster, and it was torpedoed, and he was one of my parents are buried with him. It's a British military grave, and then my grandfather was in the RAF, and my father was in the Royal Army Medical Corps.
There you
So
go.
Wow.
maybe that's why my interest in war and
Yeah.
politics, war and World War II.
We're all good lovers here. Boom, boom. You know, we don't carry it. Fine. You're
No,
just
interested.
this is the panel. We're here every Thursday night on nearmedia.tv. All our information is on the screen there. Our
Neil,
email and phone number,
Neil,
and you can press
Yeah.
the red button. You can press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. As I said, we're here every Thursday night. Now,
Yeah.
next week, there's a huge event in Europe. I know when I speak to people about it myself, they all say they don't watch it, but yet there's a huge television audience. And of course, Neil, I'm talking about the Eurovision Song Contest. It's on next
Ah,
week.
brilliant. Yeah. What's another year, huh?
What's another year? Now,
What's another year, huh? Will you hold me
Ireland,
now?
yeah, Ireland has in your eyes. Rock and roll kids. Ireland now has won it the most times with Sweden. 7 times Ireland has won it. And
yeah,
it
but
didn't
Ireland has the only record of winning it 3 times in a row,
yeah,
and
92,
three
93, and
times with
94.
the
Yeah.
same singer, or with
But,
you know.
the first singer for Ireland, the first entry was Butch Moore, Walking the Streets in the Rain, was the first song in 1965, which is
Wow.
60 years ago.
And our first
60
winner
years
was
ago. And Dana won it in 1970, 18 years of
Yeah.
age, from Derry. All kinds of everything. Reminds me of you.
And
was a
Johnny, when
gorgeous
did
song.
Johnny Logan win? 81, was it? Johnny Logan, 1980?
1980.
80, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Johnny
won it.
Logan. Yeah.
He won it as a singer. He won it singing somebody else's song, singing his own song, and Linda Martin won it singing his song.
As a
Why did he
composer.
not go out on tour? Like, why did he had a good voice? Had he not got some sort of a manager or
Actually,
something?
he
She
did
did
go
it
on
based
tour, but
that's
most of
just
his touring, if you talk to Johnny, most of his touring was in Germany and Sweden and Greece,
Was
of
it?
all places. He was huge in that. That's where he made his money.
Money. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I seen him one day. I was driving the taxi out in Finglas, and
yeah,
he was in his car. He was in his car beside me, and it was a Mercedes like Bobby Ewing's in Dallas.
yeah. Soft
And I
top.
said to him, "Do you look like Bobby Ewing?" And he said, I think he liked when I said that to him.
That was Johnny Logan. But there was
Yeah, he's a
some
very nice man.
there's been some incredible songs down through the years. But it's on next Tuesday and next Thursday, and then the final is on Saturday night next.
It's a
Yes,
turkey
yeah.
going in it.
We have no turkey this year.
we have a singer in it who's
We, we hope we haven't a two-legged turkey this year either.
Morgan, we had a turkey in the Eurovision Song Contest once before.
Yeah,
What's it called? Dude, I forget the
Dustin,
name.
Dustin,
Dustin
Dustin the
do do
turkey.
do pants, Mary, find it there.
to explain.
Fi-
He was saying,
Ireland had got so
Could you
used
find that there?
Ireland had got so used to winning the contest that when they
yeah,
started to lose, sour grapes started to set in. And then
yeah.
as a protest, they sent a puppet, a sock puppet called Dustin,
The
who,
turkey.
who was singing, and they said we might as well send a puppet because we're not going to win anymore, and it really backfired on Ireland, and we've
It's a good
never.
song though.
But the thing about it
Is this similar to Australia sending that academic to breakdance?
oh,
Oh my, oh God, gee,
Morgan,
lads.
you've just reminded me of my worst as a dance teacher and judge.
Just like someone, with all respects to senior citizens, just like someone out of a home, trying to stretch themselves after getting out of bed, you know.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
like somebody with a niche that she couldn't scratch. I never
Yeah,
saw anything as bad.
it's in the Olympics, is it?
I'm just thinking
Pa,
the
Mary,
people could have gone there
Yeah.
and didn't get there
Well,
because of
can you hear that?
that. Justin,
yeah.
I get it for you.
Hold on, we put
Yeah,
it
go
up there.
on.
This was our entry. I mean,
I know,
could
and
you?
it'll take a minute. So I mean, I'm not that fast.
What's her name? What's her name? Was did got into the final the last
Orlando
time?
Deuce. Orlando Deuce.
What?
Oh, George, they should have entered My Lovely Horse from Father Ted.
Yeah, but
Remember
like
that?
as someone who's been involved in competition all my life, the one thing you tell people, no matter what, no matter how you believe you should have won and you've been wronged, and many people have been.
Pumpkin Daddy is watching a very important program. It's called Superman.
What's the big S stand for?
Straight. Can't be too careful when you take your pants off in a phone booth.
Now there's our hero. There's our Al Bundy.
What is happening here now? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pathetic, really. It really is, Morgan. It's an embarrassment because, I believe that no matter how badly you're doing, just suck it up and accept your loss gracefully, with a little bit of dignity. But they didn't. 1 second now.
Well,
Yeah, that was the Eurovision, and there was a lot of negativity about it then because it was
yeah,
costing a lot of money for the station to run it, and
yeah, yeah.
it's all the networks that are affiliated to the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union,
But
and
you should.
even Australian network is now a member, and that's why Australia can enter the Eurovision. But there's a clause in their contract that if they ever had a song that won the Eurovision, they'd have to nominate a European country to have the final in the next year. It wouldn't be feasible to have it down in Australia because can you imagine the cost of everybody having to go down there? All the
Azerbaijan
Yeah.
countries.
as well. Azerbaijan isn't in. A part of it is in Europe, and
Let's rip it up, Johnny. Let's go, babes.
I come from a nation what knows how to write a song. Oh, Europe, where oh where did it all go wrong? Come on! Drag axe and bad axe and Terry Wogan's wig. It was mad axe and sad axe. It was Johnny Logan's gig.
Needless to say,
There anymore. Your land dues upon.
needless to say that didn't win it.
Because it got 22 points, so hence it didn't come out of the semi-finals.
You toikies.
What a surprise! I mean,
I think
really.
I think they should have been like Ruth Coppinger. They needed to get a grip.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I know. Did you see that, Neil? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
see
What
that,
a,
or Morgan?
a
Or do you
terrible.
watch the Irish news, Morgan?
It's disgusting.
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it in a while,
Pick.
but yeah, we do have it. We do have a TV. So
She
yeah, I've
refused.
seen it a couple.
She's an Irish politician. She's very she's a socialist, and
Well, she
she
says she is anyway.
says she is, and she was asked a question by a reporter, albeit a reporter she doesn't agree with, and she said
And the other, sorry, Mary, the other turkey was beside her, Paul Murphy.
he asked her
Clown that lad.
if she had an opinion on the question he asked, and she said, "Not for you." And
Not
one
for
of the
grip.
other reporters said to her, "But he's a member of
A
the
journalist. He's a journalist.
pool." And she said, "Why are you not accepting it?" And she said, "That's terrible." And she says, I have a right. I can not answer any particular person's question." And
No, she couldn't answer.
they refused to ask her a question then, because they said, "If you're not going to answer his, we're not asking you anything."
Should she not be brought up against the board or wherever you do because of that? Because that's her job to answer, like, there, because they are members of the whatever, the journalist community or
Journalist,
whatever, and she should have answered it. Like, she wasn't answering. She can't answer the grip media. Like, the
Well,
grip media really had their way to get stuck into them all, like we all would, but we can't.
yeah, they had no comeback anyway. But I mean, they really are a blind on the doll, really, on people like that. In my
Yeah,
opinion, that's only my opinion on it. And
yeah.
I mean, they talk about far right and all that in the media and all, and I know what the situation in the United States. But if they don't address the far left, which
Yeah.
are far,
They're the loons.
they're far more poisonous as well.
The thing about it is, Pat, I think most people are centre. I think if you actually sit down and listen to people, whether they're on the right or so-called far right or so-called far left, and you sit down and you talk to them or you listen to them, you find that you actually share an awful lot of common with them. And you say, well, I could be accused of being right, or I could be accused of being left, depending on, like, I would be very social conscious. I'd be very far on the left, very far on the left when it comes to, I think everybody should have a livable living standard, not a minimum wage. I believe there should be a living standard that everybody has.
You are right. We went to Dunn's to save. I mean, we just had one of those small trolleys, and we come out, and it was €181 for a small trolley. Like the cost of living is just I don't know where it's gone. It's gone mayhem. It's really gone. Like you know what I mean?
I went over to my local shop this morning and I got 5 items and it was €11.
Yeah.
I had a loaf of bread, 6 tomatoes, and loaf of bread, 6 tomatoes, and what else?
But if you're on social welfare,
a half pound of butter.
if you're on social welfare as a single person and you don't have children, or you're on disability allowance as a single person, you're entitled to €250. That's practically, if you were to actually buy those groceries to try and last you for the week, that's practically what you're after buying, Neil. Practically your entire social welfare. Now, if you were to go out and get a job to subsidize what you're getting on the social welfare to try and bring you to a livable wage, they'll eventually reduce your social welfare. So you're always going to be on €225. And that to me is immoral.
It is.
Yeah,
I mean,
keeping people below
I
minimum
mean,
wage.
the government has deferred the latest rise in the minimum wage but they did not defer the latest increases for themselves, only for the low
Yeah.
pay, only for the low pay. I'm sure you have the same situation in the states. I know how the states organize their finances, but you have, you know, they'll
Not well.
spend they'll spend millions and millions of dollars doing up the lieutenant governor's mansion, for instance, and they won't give the people who are at the bottom an extra $10 in their pocket. They won't do it. We know
Well,
why
I
they
couldn't
won't
tell you
do it.
the last time we raised the federal minimum wage. I mean, it's been so long. It's been in so many decades.
1929 was it? I'm only joking.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
The
you
whole
know,
the
I
whole
mean,
the whole
I don't
planet has gone crazy from cost of living. It's gone like I get people in my car like saying nearly every country is the same as Ireland. Like my daughter lives in Spain and it's just more or less near enough the same over there, except for it's a better way of living. Like from according to her
yeah,
anyway. I
it's
think nearly the whole
better.
of Europe has just gone abs. Like the four of us working, like myself and the wife, and we have the two boys. They both work on building sites. Like that food we got today for 181. That's gone by Sunday.
it is. Yeah, when you have children, teenagers.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
that's
I,
it.
I worked in the taxi business myself when the kids were
Mm,
smaller. And when you have kids that age, I often came home after night shift, and you'd open the fridge. There'd be nothing in it, only milk. Everything is eaten.
gone.
Even
Yeah.
the freezer,
Now,
all the freezers.
Especially when you have four people in the house and
Yeah,
two of them are working on a building site.
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
Lorraine
yeah.
just watched. Lorraine is we just. I said you may as well just fucking stand at the washing machine and stay there. With that
Yeah.
building stuff and all that, and it's look,
Morgan,
it's
can
great
I
they're
ask
working and
you?
all that.
I don't understand. I wouldn't be fiscally very, as I'm sure Pat Barry can tell you about how fiscally intelligent I am. I just spend
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I have it,
I
I
know. I know. Yeah.
but when I look at, I don't see what anyone complains about tariffs. And the reason I don't see why I think we should all do it in my naivety maybe, but if you go back to America before World War I, apparently, from what I understand, there was no tax. People didn't pay tax. It was all tariff
No.
based.
Yeah. There was no
There
federal
was
income
no tax.
tax, but
Yeah.
the Republican Party that was dominant, they were very they were the nationalist party since the end of the Civil War. They were the nationalist party, and they
Yeah.
promoted big business and also protectionist policies for big business, so raising tariffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they brought in the tax to try and pay for all the wars and like World War I, World War II, to rehabilitate countries and give them money towards restoring their businesses and that. So tax started to come in, and when you look at countries like Monaco that has no tax, and you look at say the Arab Emirates or places like that that don't have any tax, and you think there has to be another way that people can go out to work, earn their and that I mean, you hear about say Donald Trump trying to bring in no tax on tips and no tax on over,
Overtime.
and you say to yourself, well, if I knew that I was, or Neil, if you knew that you didn't have to pay a penny tax beyond your 40 hours a week, everything, you'd be working every hour God sends you and
Mm.
earning money, and businesses would be improving as well. Employers would be getting their staff to stay at work and work every hour that God sends, because they're going to be getting well paid, and they're not paying a penny tax beyond the
But
40
but you see,
hours.
we're falling into the trap every day of lauding sweatshops like Amazon. Amazon is a glorified sweatshop. That's all that
Yeah,
business is. It's just sweatshop for people. It's appalling conditions.
But if you
And,
opened a shop
and
like
Amazon has opened in Great Britain, and they are having they're being held to account by the government. They're opening a big place here in Ireland. They won't be held to account. They're
it's open
sweatshop
already. I
conditions.
think.
Yeah,
but
it's
people are sick of going
appalling.
into work. People are sick of going into work and knowing that most of their wages are gone in tax. And if they have two jobs, one of the jobs is from when I can remember back when I was, say, in Bunratty Castle, and I had a full-time day job, and I was paying I was paying 50 on Bunratty's money. So every pound you earned, you were paying 50 pence basically, and
Right.
then your tax-free allowance was with your full-time day job. But like, um, I fully believe that people should be able to go out to work and earn their money. They're going to be paying tax on the food that they're buying. They're going to be paying
Everything,
tax
everything.
on everything that they buy, whether
Yeah,
it's their shoes,
And the clothes you buy, all that and
so
everything.
you're just paying tax upon tax upon tax upon tax,
yeah.
and
Fuel as well.
I just
Cost me €50 a day on fuel. 50 a day just on fuel, because I live in Leash, so it's an hour
Yeah,
in. Do me 10 hours or whatever, then an hour back. That's 50 a day before I start working.
yeah,
and
yeah,
when it comes to tax on your car, when you
Yeah,
pay road tax on your car, I believe that it should be like the Australian way of doing it, whereby
fuel on fuel.
you pull up
Yeah,
at the pump and you pay for your petrol, and
yeah.
you go away, and there's so much from your petrol
Fuel
taken.
gone on to the tax. Yeah, the Australians do that. Yeah, it's
yeah.
amazing the way everybody. It's amazing the way everybody in Ireland has an answer to every single problem in this country, except the gobshites in the government. We've an
Yeah.
answer really to everything, but it's just the government doesn't have
Well,
the answer.
Doesn't it make sense? Someone that doesn't drive their car as much. I mean, you might have a mother that only drives her car
yeah.
every day.
The more you drive, the more it'll cost you. It's a
Yeah,
good
they're
principle.
only
It's a good
collecting their
principle to
child
have.
every day in school, or you as a taxi driver, you'd pay more because you're driving it more, but then you're driving it as a business. So
I
Yeah,
was reading. I was reading a report today because we were bedeviled. I'm sure the same as in America with carbon tax on everything. And the Antarctic has added 1.81 million tons of ice to their ice cap. Added in the last 12 months. It's been added to it. And we're
so it's
supposed to be
getting better.
warm. We're supposed to be warming up the planet.
Yeah,
How,
they know
how,
the
how?
Greens. The Greens are delusional. If you ask me, I just think it's the earth rebuilt itself. I don't think anything is happening. Maybe
look,
it is, but I think
look,
it's going to repair itself eventually without us doing anything. And this monogamy or whatever you call it, the electric car is the answer to the combustion engine. That doesn't make sense whatsoever. It's not going to
No.
work.
it
Cars
makes
don't.
no
In
sense.
America, Morgan will probably tell you them fucking electric cars don't start in the cold and they don't go well in the cold. You put your heater on, you put your wipers on, you put your rear mister on, you put your lights on. The battery's going to go down. 3 years time, your car's worth nothing, but you have to buy a battery, 20,000, 30,000 euro for a battery before you sell the car. It's a waste of space. Them electric cars are a
And you know
disaster.
that 80% of the batteries in the electric cars are not recyclable. They're
Yeah.
not recyclable.
But
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 look,
all, well, but
But
also
Pat,
the batteries.
Yeah,
what?
go on.
No, but I mean, it just the process of creating the batteries and all of the
Oh, yeah.
materials
It's horrific.
for these cars and for all the technology is actually contributing to the issue, the
The issue, the
global
Right.
warming
problem.
issue.
Yes, I get you.
I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the cobalt that has to be mined, and
Yeah.
the children and the poor people that are down mines. All my grandfather went to Wales when he first went to Wales, and he worked down the mines, and he was a miner for a good few years. And all belonging to my grandmother were miners in Wales. So I understand the hardship that miners had to go. Now, they loved their work and they loved their comrades and everything like that. But you look at the children that are mining cobalt batteries for cars
Mm.
that are costing
And
thousands to
they're going
actually
deeper and
replace.
deeper and deeper. And they're going to go deeper and deeper. They're going, look, we all understand the combustion engine has to be changed. We understand that. But at the moment, what you call it, the Prius, the hybrid, that is the answer for the moment until we find an engine that will be okay for the environment. If you ask me, you get yourself an engine that runs on water. That's salt water from the sea.
The thing about it is, if we go out to Allowee Caves or the
Yeah.
Burren in Ireland, I don't know, Morgan, were you ever in the Burren, or were you ever at Allowee Caves? Well,
We
if
must
you go,
bring him up there someday for the outing.
Allowee Caves will absolutely destroy any view that people have about climate change, because when you look, you have stalagmites and stalactites, all these long icicles, and they're hundreds of feet long, and they take thousands of years to grow that long, and they represent Ireland being at one stage going through an ice age in this country. And then if you go to the Burren, which is just where Allowee Caves is on the Burren, it was found by accident. A man out walking his dog, the dog fell into the caves. It's magnificent with this cave structure with all these icicles, and if you go on to the Burren, you have Arctic flowers growing side by side with tropical flowers, and evidence that at some stage in our cycle we had a tropical climate. And
And we had an ice age as well.
if we are, but that's what I'm saying with the
Yeah.
icicles. If we're to believe that we're on a globe and that we're rotating, the logic for me and my simple mind
Not
is
that is
that
there.
if something is rotating, eventually it's going to be nearer the equator at some stage and nearer the Arctic at another stage. It may take thousands of years, but we have evidence in this country, it's thousands of years old, Ireland is. We have
Yeah.
evidence of both climates. So for them to say that the climate is the arrogance of human
Yeah.
beings that they
Yeah.
can change the climate,
Yeah.
it just
Well, the
however,
CO2 emissions is having a major impact, though. I mean, all the pollution is having a major impact.
oh yeah, I agree with
and
that. I agree with
the
you
thing
to cut down on pollution.
in Dublin Morgan, all right, what I see as a taxi driver, what I see is they're after every single traffic light in this country, they're all brand new, all brand spanking new, okay? A lot of the filter lights, the left and right ones, are all gone. And they've put islands in the middle of roads, and they've put poles on cycle lanes and widened paths to stop you overtaking, doing quick lefts. So now what they've done is the red lights now are red a lot longer, and the green lights are shorter. And it's horrible driving in Dublin now. The sooner the better I get out of this cave. It's killing me. It's making me angry. It's making me frustrated because I know what they're after
Well, I
doing. Every
mean,
single so no, just a second. So now what they're doing is what's happening is traffic is backed on every single road, and the emissions are going up in the air. And
we
they're trying to.
need,
That's what they want everyone to get onto a bike or onto a bus, and they're pissing
but
people off.
the planet needs CO2 for life.
It
Right?
does.
It needs
Yeah.
CO2 for
Because,
life.
because
And the green mantra is to get rid of CO2. That means to kill us all.
if we don't
Yeah.
have CO2, Neil, if we don't
Yeah.
have CO2, we have no trees, we have no plants, because the trees, when we breathe out, we
The
breathe
trees
out.
are the lungs of the
They
Trees are.
environment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we work on a cycle. We breathe in the oxygen, they breathe in the carbon dioxide, and
We have to branch out.
you have to
But
branch out.
there are lots of organisms that produce the CO2. I mean, if we didn't have, let's say for an example, we didn't have any cars or any pollution, there would still be CO2 emissions. It's not like it would
There
just
would.
completely you can't eliminate it completely. But like
Yeah.
with
Oh,
the
yeah.
technologies we have, so energy dependent, it's creating so much CO2 where it's contributing to the problem. And the
I don't mind. I don't mind.
ways to reduce
I
it.
don't mind people who are campaigning against the CO2 and get rid of oil and that. But I want to hear the alternative view. What do you replace it with?
They replaced coal with this awful stuff that they called coal. I'd rather die than have to put what they call coal into my fire.
But
I mean, I'd rather actually now.
the problem in the world is that you have the bigger countries like China that are building 14 or 15 coal fired generating stations, electric generation every year, and we closed down board Namona here that made our briquettes. What do we do then? We imported briquettes from Germany. Imagine that.
Across the sea.
We imported
Yeah.
briquettes in for the market. We closed down the only industry in the Midlands that were producing briquettes. But because
Yeah.
of the green policies we have, we didn't import them. I mean, you couldn't be madder about the thing.
We
Anyway.
imported them from Poland, as far as I know. We
Yeah.
imported Turkey.
Germany mainly. Germany mainly. But anyway, if you want any tough,
Aren't there supposed to be new like technologies trying to do carbon capture? And apparently some scientists are saying that possible future is the nuclear fusion,
yeah.
which
Well,
could create a massive amount of energy. That combined with some kind of carbon capture to
I
reduce the
think
amount that's already
I
out there.
think I think nuclear power station would be the
I'm
one way to
very
go.
against
You know,
nuclear
it's a
power.
very it's a very
Oh, yeah.
clean
All you need
energy.
that is one accident, and then
But
the
the,
whole world goes up. One
I get
accident.
that too, but
no, no, you don't. You
we
don't.
need that
They're not
basic.
in favor of creating a mini star underground and hoping that everything turns out well.
Not anymore.
Create
Not
a
with
black hole inside.
not anymore. They're dotted all around France, and there's no problem.
Pat,
And
Pat, my uncle worked in Sellafield
you're
for years.
talking about something 50
And,
years ago.
and
It's
he was
moved
an
on from
engineer
there.
in Sellafield, and he used to come home every day. My aunt
Yeah,
said,
yeah. All right, all right. I
and
don't disbelieve
only
you.
little bits of a nuclear reaction. It won't affect him in the long term, and of course it did. Of course,
Look,
it had adverse effects. Come on,
they
like
had, we know all those stories. They had to bury Marie Curie in a lead-lined coffin because she was so radioactive when she died. You know, I mean, we know all those stories, but they don't bear any resemblance to the modern plants, the modern nuclear plants I'm talking about. You know, I'd be all for them myself.
all it takes
Clean,
is one
they're
accident.
clean. I'm not sure we'd be all dead in one accident.
And
All right, all right,
what Mary is saying though, it is the truth. It's like we have fires from coal from a couple of houses here and there, and we have this and that, but it's one accident from nuclear. That's all it is,
one
really. If you know,
accident.
Apparently Chernobyl, the Russian drone
Still on.
damaged the shell, and yeah, they're
The
gonna have to
last,
repair that. It's gonna be
the last big accident from nuclear was what was it? 40 of
Chernobyl,
no,
wasn't it?
And
no,
the effects are still
you know,
there
40
today.
years ago. That's 40 years ago. The technology's moved on since.
And that doesn't mean that 40 years ago and the technology has moved on. That doesn't mean
It
that
has, yeah,
accidents
it
can't
has.
happen.
Yeah, well, you should go on a play if you like. If you think there's going to be an accident, don't fly either. Don't go on a plane either.
You're going to look at the Wuhan lab to know the damage that was done during COVID.
I think my wife got affected because she keeps telling me I'm good looking.
2024. You what?
I think my wife got affected. She keeps telling me I'm good looking.
Yeah.
But sure,
Did
you should say the mirror is telling me that.
I have to sneak up on the mirror. It's me. It's me.
Yeah, yeah. Please, it's new.
And she keeps telling me, stop, stop.
But when you look at even another bugbear for me, we pay tax on our cars. We pay insurance on our cars. We have to pay an NCT for our car. And it has to go through all this testing to keep your car on the road.
Yeah.
And then you buy petrol for the car. And then you see that you're a wide road in O'Connell Street in Limerick, the main road in Limerick, went from a two-way traffic, which it always was when I was growing up,
to
now one-way traffic, and it's divided into three. And the one section of it is for bicycles.
There's a bus lane and 2 cycle lanes at each side.
And we know the cycle lanes are not being used. The same in Dublin.
No.
It's two-way cycle lanes, if you don't mind. It's not even one-way cycle lanes. I have never seen a bicycle go up O'Connell Street.
Yeah, and the same here, Mary. Yeah,
And then
Mary, I drive around Dublin, and this is what kills me. I know what they're doing.
And everyone is stop, start, stop, start.
Yeah,
stop, start.
yeah.
Your
It's a
clutch
mess.
would be worn out from stop starting.
Yeah, and the brakes as well. Like, I'm going through 2-3 sets of brakes a year now. I am. I'm trying to get out of taxi again. I do like it, but I know what's going on, and I see the traffic.
One of the many things I like about America was their fantastic cars that they used to have in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah.
We weren't
metal cars.
There's nobody. The Buick and the oh my god,
Morgan, what do you work at again? What do you do? Finance something, is it?
I wish.
A history.
He's a student. He's a student.
I used to teach. I used to teach U.S. Government and politics, but now I'm studying Irish history.
Oh, that's right. You said it
As
last
you would.
Irish history, yeah. Yeah, Irish history. I can't even.
So
My
when
way.
Mary was talking about how most people are most likely moderates, I agree. I mean, from my experience teaching, it's usually the people at the extremes that are the loudest. But most people,
Yeah,
when you actually speak to them, you realize no, actually, most people are moderate.
yeah.
I think
When
that's
I,
true.
when I was taught Irish in school, I was always put in the corner of the classroom. They could never get it.
And as we're talking about history, Morgan, today is the 8th of May. And on the 8th of May in 1916, Michael Mallon, Eamon Kent, Sean Houston, and Con Colbert all were murdered by the British in 1916 in Kilmainham jail. They were all shot dead.
Yeah.
They took part in the 1960. Now, Con Colbert from Limerick, Colbert Station, and Sean
On
Houston,
Talbot Road.
Houston Station yeah, and Eamon Kent
That's a
Station in
park.
Cork. In Cork.
And there's a name in Kent Park down on Sundrive Road. Did you know that? I don't know whether it's him or not.
Yeah, yeah, it could be,
Yeah, Eamon Kent Park down Sundrive Road, Crumlin. Look her
yeah.
up.
But can I just say to Morgan there, I was actually on free hands free. They're ordering a Chinese for myself because I haven't eaten all day. I was just thinking, by the time this is over,
I love curry beef and fried rice. Curry beef fried rice. Don't put in your order, Neil, to Mary.
don't you feel that? Don't you feel that the way media has gone now? It's just always trying to. It's always, and the governments as well. It's all almost like them and us. It's almost trying to divide and conquer.
And social media, yeah. Social media. I mean, the
And
algorithms these tech companies use, they use casino-like algorithms to keep people addicted. But the content that people are seeing is the most extremist content, whether it's on the left or the right. So people are just being force-fed, and they're addicted to it
But
constantly.
I think
Extremist content. It's just pushing everybody out to the extreme. And like you were talking about, most people
most people are
they might
moderate.
have left and right, ideas about different things, and they don't realize it because the
And then you
social media is telling them, you're a liberal, you're a conservative, and they don't realize like
but
you're a little bit of both.
mainstream media is the same. I mean, you look at The View in America, and The View have never anything nice to say. Never.
Yeah, they're left. They're left.
But you wonder.
They're far left. They're far left.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
They're trying to maintain their audience.
the thing about it is, though, no government and no politician is 100% wrong.
All right.
But you have
Or right.
you have them. All right. No government or politician is 100% wrong or right.
Yeah.
If you were to listen to maybe one side, they never say anything nice about the other side, and vice versa. And if they jumped in a river or stood in their heads upside down, they obviously they wouldn't find anything positive to say.
Yeah.
And it really irritates me because I love to listen to both sides of everything. And I think, do you know, I actually agree with him or I agree with them on that. Like, I really agree with no tax on tips. And I really agree with no tax on anyone for overtime, or no tax even in jobs, because if you had no tax in your job, you'd be able to say, well, I'm going to give my money that I would be paying in tax to a charity of my choice. And that's what they do in Libya. No tax in Libya. And everyone is encouraged to donate to a charity, to some charitable,
To help each other.
to help each other out. And you'd never think that if you were to listen to the news before Libya, they need it. There's nothing positive about it. But then you listen and you find out that there's so much positive in every country, in every government, in every person, and you realize that I have a lot in common with them, and I didn't think I did. And I also have a lot of common in them. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
Well, Woodrow Wilson said, if a politician becomes a millionaire out of politics, show me the corruption.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But she,
And that would,
a woman Whoopi Goldberg isn't the woman Levitt, Caroline Levitt suing them, isn't she?
She
she
Because
is.
they're
is, yeah.
taking the piss over.
She is because they suggested that she was
In
um,
10.
only picked because she was a
Well,
Yeah.
she defamed her. That's a lot different. I mean, that's a
I think she,
defamation. Defamation is a serious
you
charge,
but
know,
and
that's fucking that's disgusting, Pat, what they said
you
about
know,
her.
I mean, there's
How dare they say that? That's delusional. You
there's
know,
one
that
there's one of the women on the View, uh, uh, and she's African. She's actually not. She's Sonny Hostin. Now, Sonny Hostin goes on ad nauseum, and I mean, I look at it and I think, how can Sonny Hostin? She goes on and on and on about everything is race, everything is anti racism, and everything is about race. And yet, when you actually listen to Sonny Hostin's "Who Do You Think You Are" series, where they interviewed her and they did the her ancestors, she thought she was African American. She has absolutely no African American blood in her at all. And in fact, her ancestors were slave owners. She was horrified when she found out about it. And and yet she will go on all the time about racism, which is insidious, which it really is and should be wiped out.
but
But
if you want to see racism and everything, your argument is just childish. Or just
people are most
all these shows, whether like the Fox News variety or on the MSNBC or the left wing
yeah.
variety, they've all become
Morning,
so incredibly vicious
morning,
yeah,
morning,
demonizing,
yeah, morning
well,
Joe's
just
appalling.
demonizing,
Yeah,
but just demonizing the other. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
it doesn't,
yeah.
it's not
You
constructive.
know, you couldn't
They do it
explain
because
any
they think
better.
they can maintain an audience and make lots of
Yeah,
money, but it's not
and they
productive.
are they're
Morgan,
demonizing each other.
I
Well,
can't
I actually like Bill Maher. I must admit,
he has his moments.
I like Bill Maher. I think
Oh no.
he can be capable of listening,
Yes,
which
he
is a
I'm,
can.
very
I'm
important
wondering
thing.
when he's going to run for political office.
He won't.
Who
He
was
never
Bill
get
Matter? I
elected.
don't know him.
Well, I suppose if Obama got elected, anybody could get elected. I mean,
He's
for God's sake.
a
Obama,
chap.
Bill Maher, Neil, he does his own like separate talk show. He's
Obama
like
only got ele-
comedian as well.
Obama only got
Pat,
elected because he was
Pat,
black.
Pat, hold
I
on.
see
Neil
him there. Yeah,
Morgan is talking.
Huh?
He's he
I must look him up. I see him there. Yeah, American comedian and actor. Yeah,
Bill
he's
Maher.
usually
yeah.
very sarcastic. He's got a very dry sense
Yeah.
of humor, I would say.
I like it. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like being able to put down with to
What
put,
I
put
can't understand, Morgan, is
you can
why
put the person down with
why the
sarcasm.
media stations in America are so polarized. You have the right wing and you have the left wing, and that's it. Why can't it be
Yeah.
compulsory? Why can't it be compulsory for
Well,
all?
hold on, sorry.
Hold on a second, I'm speaking. Sorry.
Yeah.
Why can't it be compulsory
You
in
see?
organizations in America that they have to have two from either side and one centrist, one person moderate in the on every show
They,
or two, so that they
they
can
used to have this.
argue it out.
Yeah.
The FCC used to have this. They used to call it, I think it was back in the 90s, the equal time rule. I think this rule doesn't exist anymore.
No,
But
it does
talk
not.
shows
No.
but on
Doesn't
talk
Charlie
shows, the
Kirk?
FCC used to have some kind of equal time. It was like if you present one argument or one side, you
Yeah.
need to give equal time for the other side to respond.
We
I don't
have
think this exists anymore.
yeah, we have the pretense here as well. But I think that myself that they have two networks who I used to love one time. You have NPR, National Public Radio, and PBS. PBS were publicly funded to take the middle ground, for the want of a better word. Whatever the middle ground is, I don't know what the middle ground is anymore. But I mean,
Yeah.
PBS did some incredible programs. There's no doubt about it. Fantastic programs. You can look at it. I often look at it online late at night. It's very good. There's some very good programs. It depends on what you're into, particularly my pet favorite, the jazz programs. Oh, they're second to none. Now, they're not everybody's cup of tea. I know that, but everybody
Yeah,
for therapy should listen to jazz. You should listen now, Neil, to Thelonious Monk on a Sunday morning while you're having your toast.
yeah. Thelonious Monk.
Yeah, oh, fantastic, just fantastic.
Do you know, Pat? I find it very hard now. Listen to Listen, I have two phones in the car, and one of them is connected to the other, and they both have fully internet because I need it for my taxi. And
Yeah,
I listen to documentaries and stuff on my other phone, and I find
yeah,
it extremely hard to listen to radio now. And like first thing in the morning, I go to Trump, Caroline Level from the night before, and then I might
yeah.
go to Piers Morgan. And now at the moment, I'm looking at the last couple of days about the Craze twins.
Yeah.
So I look at different documentaries about different stuff, and I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean?
Ronnie and Reggie.
I
Ronnie and
just want
Reggie
to
Yeah,
tell
said,
you
Ronnie and Reggie. Yeah,
my Chinese came.
did it? Did you ever
I
have a
did.
Lebanese curry?
what you
I
go?
ordered a king prawn. What did I order? A king prawn, a beef and black bean sauce, and boiled rice.
Come here, listen. Before we go,
Oh
did you ever have
no,
a
I
choi-
didn't order a beef.
did you ever have a Lebanese curry and wake up with the Shiites?
I think I ordered a beef and black bean sauce by mistake.
That's a Bill Maher one, is it?
I know. Hey,
Well,
so
we'll
that
leave
Well,
it.
I just think America would benefit from having a show where all where everyone had a different opinion and everyone shared their opinion, and whether you liked it or not, and you debate and you sit down then, and it's almost like that one side's afraid that you might agree with the other side, so they
yeah,
don't never.
Or if you had a show for dedicated for moderates, I think the reaction on the left, on the extreme left and right, would be so hostile because it would be like a death knell for them. They would
Sure.
yeah,
recognize that
Yeah,
now there
yeah,
could be a third way or a third party developing from this,
yeah.
and it's
They,
going to
they
be a
believe in
death for the
division.
Republicans and Democrats.
Before we go tonight, lads, we have to pay tribute to one of the better broadcasters, in my opinion, we have had on radio here in Ireland. Almost 1 in 10 of every citizen in the Republic listen to him every day. That was
Joe Duffy.
Joe Duffy on Liveline. He spent
Good
20,
afternoon. Good afternoon. How you,
yeah,
man?
good afternoon. Wash your hands, wash your hands. He
Oh,
26 years. Wash your hands, wash your hands. He's 26 years or there,
yeah,
I think. But obviously, not everybody does everything right. But by and large, he attempted to have his program, and he did give a voice to many people, including
On
our own,
both sides.
on herself there. Mary was on with him a few times.
I was on with him a
And
few times, but
I mean,
I've turned off. Since all the social media came out and the right wing, since I've got to learn about the right wing and centre, and to me, a lot of that is the truth. And I believe the left and the far left are delusional. That's what I believe. But I'd
I
never
want
degrade their opinions. But that's what I believe. Like, look
to
at them.
know though what is far right and what is far left, because if you go far enough right, you're going to end up far
well,
left.
in America,
But that's what they call it. That's what they call it.
Mary, in America, Ilan Omar is far left.
But what is our far left? I'm sure there are things that
Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm sure that there are things that Ilan Omar, if she was to sit down and Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and all of them, I'm sure if they actually were to sit and listen to something on the other side that's considered far left, that there were things that they agreed with, and then they find that they're actually.
What I think, Quentin Tarantino should take the four of them into a film and make sure they're all killed in the end. You know? So I think myself, you know.
That's what
That's
someone said to
terrible.
me. Someone said to me before, "Did you ever read the Bible?" I said, "I know. I heard he dies at the end of it."
I loved Whoopi Goldberg. I truly loved her, but
I don't
think
like her now. I don't like her. I think
as
she's
an
disgusting
actress, I
and she's
think she was
demoralised and
incredible.
she's on. Yeah, but she's only a bully. She's only a bully. She wouldn't say that to Caroline Levitt's face, what she said. Because Caroline Levitt would go through her like for a shortcut, and she'd have her crying by what she'd say to her.
I just think, Neil, it's a lack of programming, a lack of putting people.
A lack of intelligence.
You're putting people into boxes. Don't talk to them. Don't listen to them because you'll be corrupted. They're left wing. Don't listen to them. You'll be absolutely corrupted beyond belief. They're right wing. They're fascists. And
It's mad.
We can all agree. We can all agree that Make America Great Again is a good way to start.
Yeah. Morgan, you can start that one. You can make it great again for us.
Anyway, on that
Mary,
note,
enjoy that, Corey.
on that note, we'll see you all again. We'll see you all again next week. We don't mean anything personally, Morgan. Stick to the wheat. Anyway, from this edition of the panel, lads, have a good night and take care.
Cheers, all. Bye-bye.
This is Lair Media. To whom it concerns, welcome to the panel.